Thank you, everybody. Thank you. So to kind of lean on it, well, first of all, thank you to the crew. I appreciate everybody that came, everybody that puts it on. I've learned a lot by coming to these meetings and on that. So, being set with creating a presentation, you have kind of the stress of what am I going to talk about? This was all developed from a LinkedIn post that I made where I was just kind of reflecting on the tools that I have built for my fellow marketers. Being an SEO and kind of always being in a piece of software and trying to figure out how it works. Once AI came around, I was like, well, let me, as we've all probably done in the room, let me see how it can work for me. And then I was like, well, let me see how it can work for others. So it started with me walking around the neighborhood, yammering in my phone for about 20 minutes, just kind of stream of consciousness. And I was like, all right, I can do something with this, start building that deck. And I'm going to do this more in the future, by the way. Android phone, no hate there. But there was, hey, you want to turn this into text? I said, yes, please. And then I went into Gemini and I was like, yes, please again. And added my text file. And if you hit plus sign with Canvas and say, turn this into a deck, I know that there's a bunch of cool tools out there, but hey, let's keep it easy. I said, yeah, turn this into a deck. And it turned me into a beautiful 11 slide. I didn't tell it the colors. I didn't tell it, this is everything you're going to see is based on that. And I got to show the boys, and it was nice. I got some great feedback too, so it's a lot more than those 11 slides. Because you were about to just get those 11 slides. Just know that. Honestly, just leaning right into the beginning of all this was I've been doing SEO for about 15 years, and I have a software engineering background. Never had a software engineering job, but I work at a cool software company, and my beginnings were, I didn't have any access to tools. I worked for a small marketing agency, and it was things along the lines of, manually go and see where we're showing up on, Google and let me know, how can we improve the businesses? A lot of mine were auto repair shops. So it was a lot of oil change, Pasadena. I lived in California at the time, and it was a very kind of drudging process. It was how many times can I repeat the word brake repair in these 2 paragraphs kind of thing. These I wouldn't call tactics by any means, but my boss was like, this is what we do, and just keep doing it for the 35 auto repair shops that you have on your docket. But moving on from that, I was kind of like, okay, it kind of taught me to always think outside of the box, right? How am I going to present this at the end of the month when I know I'm having to do all these manual tasks, and how we've evolutionized, I guess you could say, to now has been amazing. And then I started seeing these same things come up when there was no prompt tracking tools. Boss man's asking, hey, how are we showing up in Gemini? How are we showing up in ChatGPT? I'm having to go to these incognito profiles and free accounts, and I'm having to do this manual. I was like, wow, this rings true to me so much, And, kind of diving into it a little bit, got that manual keyword peppering. Like I said, hey, no fun, but it happened. Incognito and refresh, checking those rankings. I'm starting to kind of repeat my history here. And then siloed SEO metrics. No one cared outside of my agency. No one, I would talk to friends, I'd talk to other business owners, and they're like, great, 1 or 2. That's all I care about. Am I on the second page? I'm not getting any leads. What was I doing? I was screaming into the void. Sweet picture, Gemini. Appreciate you. I stared at that for about 5 minutes because it was kind of trippy if you really look at it. And, that disconnect was the eyes glazing over when I'm talking to either leadership or when I tried to freelance a little bit when I was talking to, business owners. And even now, learning how to communicate to the C-suite. And this, my talk kind of goes into AI helping me communicate better and helping my team communicate better. So what was the solution? Let's stop giving them the spaghetti and start giving them the noodle, I didn't say that in my walk, but that's what AI thought I said. I thought that was kind of interesting. At Pendo, at a B2B SaaS, there's 2 things we care about. It's money and internal demos, right? I want you to take a demo of my product, and I want my pipeline to grow. Boss man happy. Up to the right, good. Caveman talk. What does that make? A really weird picture to the right. But waterfalls need to turn into water fountains. Waterfalls are all the data, the 1,000 lines I get out of GA4 or Google Search Console with the API giving me all this and me trying to make a pretty pivot and doing all. No, I just needed to not be the gatekeeper and let people just simply pull their own data. So it was my first tool, because this is all the tools that I built. They're not fancy, but damn if they are not perfect. So I am tired of Search Engine Journal, Moz blog, you go down the list, Search Engine Land, other people coming to me with my SEO news. And I'm like, all right, I got to stay on top of this. And the 75 newsletters I get are not working. So let me go ahead and create a sweet little Slack bot. Started off here in Zapier. It's straightforward. All these tools are straightforward. Nothing's confusing. I feel like online, I'm constantly seeing people that are doing this like mad scientist work when sometimes it's just 4 steps and shoving it into a Slack message and you're like, bada bing. So what I'm showing you on the left is the RSS feed. I'm filtering it. The filters for me, by the way, it's AI, Geo, AEO, every other acronym that has to do with that, and things that matter to my org. On the right, that's the little AI step. Sweet. Yeah, it's using like ChatGPT or something, but it's very straightforward. And I apologize that the slides far back. Patrick's coaching me on that. They need to be way bigger. But what it looks like is this. There's one thing I'm going to say about this. It could be better. My boss and myself have realized that getting 75 SEO bot messages a day is not good because people put a lot of stuff out there. So I'm going to refactor this to where it gives me a daily kind of readout. But I have found things for the paid team, for things that my boss can use for the C-suite, for me to just be on top of. And the one thing that I want to point out here is in my AI, that's a big me, is the recommendations that I made AI give me, especially for Pendo. I told it about my organization. I told it about what matters to me, what my ICP looks like. And that has helped me a lot. That was an easy tool. And it started off with just me on the channel. Now I got 35 people on this channel. I don't think they read it, but they're on there. So the next thing. Any questions before I move past that? No? Cool. All right. The next thing that I had was I was like, all right, Claude. And by the way, I'm fortunate. Pendo is very much an AI forward company, which means I have a laundry list of AI tools that I get to use. In my personal life, not so much. It's like I got the $20 subscription. Pick your cherry, which one you're going to go. But at work, I have access to Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT, and Perplexity. So I get to dabble, and I love that. But people were asking me, hey, I'm focused on this particular product in Pendo. How's it working? I want to know. I don't know necessarily what clicks and impressions mean, but I just know that I need to know if, once again, is it going up to the right in terms of traffic? So I built this ChatGPT prompt that just simply allowed them to say that exact thing. This is the N8N flow first. And just to point this out again, because I think when I see this stuff on the internet, I'm just like, this is silly, or just a picture. It's a webhook calling it. This parse input is just simply saying, look at the queries in the pages. This is like pages up here, just look at the top 5. Queries, top 500. Wait for both. That was funny. And then this, I used AI to create some Python code. And by the way, the parse and the analyze were both in Python. I went from JavaScript to Python, and hell, I don't know, I might be back to JavaScript. I'm just trying to make it work. That's all that matters to me. And then it's going to return me some results. This is what you're seeing here. My prompt was as simple as, can you tell me the best performing pages from GSC in the last 7 days? And go ahead and use that GA4 MCP to tell me the sessions in the same period week over week. Now, instead of just leaving you here on an island, you have to use the desktop Claude. This does not work on the browser. Another fun fact. But what it did allow me to do, and I'm showing it here, which is probably really hard to see back there, but this is just the thinking time. It's like, yeah, no problem. I could do both of these things. Hit my N8N flow. It hit the MCP and the GA4, so it's nothing really crazy there. And what it ends up giving me is it's giving me those top 5 pages by clicks. It's giving me all that void data, but it's giving me information I can share with my team. It can, or information somebody can understand what's going on. This page bad, do good things. And then it breaks down into my week over week comparisons for GA4 sessions. Now, the cool thing about this is, once again, I still use this to report and I still use this to make improvements to the content, which I'll get into in a second, but more so, when my paid compadre needs to do her weekly report, she can just come here and she's not asking the Google Search Console. She's hitting just GA4. She goes ahead and says, hey, I'm in paid. This is all I care about. And it gives her exactly what she needs, saving everybody time. I get a brownie. Cool. Tool 3. Once again, before I go on, any questions? How it was done, why it's done. My man.
Have you seen Claude hallucinate any data analysis responses?
100%. So the honestly, so I always tell people, context window needs to stay small. If you get greedy, it gets weird. you know? And what I mean by that is if I ask for a quarter over quarter, no, it's going to get weird. If I ask past 30 days, it gets weird. So I just know my window of data where it doesn't get wonky. And some people get frustrated with AI, right? That's the one-time prompt stuff. Gave it a pretty vague prompt in terms of, hey, give me 7 days of this, that, and another. If I would have expanded that at all, it probably would have gotten weird.
Yeah.
Great question. Yeah. I was recently at a company kickoff and we were doing like a group marketing thing, and we all had access to Lovable at one. We just sat down and we created something very quickly. I had 7 people who had never been on Lovable at the same time. They were giving it these 3-word prompts wondering, WTF, why isn't it working? And I was like, you probably got to give it 3 sentences and a screenshot with a couple passive aggressive arrows and we can get cooking here. As soon as I told them all that, started giving them exactly what they wanted. I feel the same thing when we build these tools. Keep it simple. KISS method.
Go back one slide.
Yes, sir.
Did you try to build this in Looker first, or did you go right to LLM?
Yep. So the reason why I did not build it in Looker, because I've built many, many, many dashboards in Looker. For whatever reason, nobody goes to Looker. I have it linked here. I'll send it to you in Slack. I'll say save it as a bookmark and all that. Yeah, this is 100% usable. You know what? One thing is not available on Looker. The thing that says easy, fix, good, bad. And it's like, that's the AI breakdown. Now, Tim, yeah, take a screenshot, put it in Looker. Can it tell me? Yeah. Friction, right? That's the whole CRO aspect, but it's weird. I'm doing CRO for my own organization in terms of internally.
Yeah.
That's a great question, by the way. Any other questions before I move on? You guys are awesome. Welcome to the team, my man. Tool 3. So I was, any OKR people here, end of the quarter, got goals, everything awesome. My content guy comes to me and he says, hey, listen, end of the quarter, I'm going out on paternity leave, one of those, whatever. And we got to do a bunch of optimizations here. I knew he was going to be gone. I was like, let's do something crazy. Let's optimize 25 pages. And he was like, that's crazy. I'm not going to write 25 pages in a month. And I said, I understand that. I was like, let me dabble. Let's make sure we don't get weird, no AI slop out there, but let's see what we can do. Readability and tone over generic AI generated text. I know what you're thinking. Tim, what'd you put out on the internet? It wasn't that bad. I promise you. This is very similar to the tool I showed you before, but I'm not worried about GA4 at this point. I'm like, let's take that data out of it. There's consent and all these other kind of things that come into play in terms of your visitation and what's a session really going to show you whether or not a piece of content's good. But damn it if queries don't really tell you something. So this is just parsing a single URL and it's looking for that information I just spoke of in GSC. And the analyze opportunities is just looking for that classic SEO flavor, that 25 years of experience, right? Are my impressions high and my clicks low? Which now that we know that's kind of like AI battering your site and trying to gather information. But it could also be maybe you have something that's just not that provocative for people to click on. So those things still matter. These mathematical problems we've solved as marketers for 2-3 decades, right? So I turn around there and through working at some other agencies, GoFish, where I was before, we had a thing called OPO. It's a document you send to a client. It has all the to and from stuff. They never implement it, and then they whine at you why their stuff's not going up. But I was like, I like that pattern, to and from. I talked to the content guy. I said, what if I sent you little pieces of content? Not chunks, but they were chunks, but they're not chunks. Because I'm not talking about chunky content, but that's exactly what it was. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. Can I just edit this real quick? I'm savvy at that. I said, 100%. So I throw in the URL and it does just that, right? It goes ahead and it reads. Let me read these things. Here's your queries. What's working? Down here, it's like, okay, I'm going to give you some stuff that you should do. Duplicate this. Performance is looking like that. Here's your opportunities. Oh, you're really not, does Pendo have session replay? It does, but, maybe we can get better there. No click-through rate. Can't see it from back there, so I'll just describe it. All this is simply saying is here's a simple part of the document. It's saying, add a fourth pro to the pro and con section, but it's doing something. It's telling the content person, the person who's in charge of this, that's putting his name on the quality of this page. It doesn't want to be involved with AI slop. Why are we changing it? What's it going to benefit? This is what it is, and this is what we should change it to. What it did was it took something that would have made him have to manually write it, use AI on his own, which maybe he's not too savvy at, or he can just simply say yes or no. We were able to do those 25 pages in 30 days. Tim, did it work? It did. It did. I'm not about to show you an up to the right graph. I'll save that for my CEO. But it worked, and that's the point of it, right? Before I move on from this, any questions? No? All right, cool.
Ooh, I got one actually. Did it throw any recommendations that you had to use your understanding and context to just like dismiss as bullshit?
Yes, it did. And that was the beauty of the human in the loop. That was the thing. Anybody out here who's like, I'm going to build something, I just don't have to think about it. It's the worst thing you could do. You don't want to be an agent. I don't want to be in a jacuzzi full of agents. All right. I want to be the person that's using AI to help me do my job. I don't want to be the person that's using AI to do my job. And what I did was I sat down with somebody and we met multiple times, and he was able to critically think of 35 recommendations for a page. We probably only added 4, but I didn't spend time creating them. He spent time looking at them, and I implemented them. And what was I seeing? The queries that mattered to us, that mattered to our goals for the end of the quarter, those were the ones that were improving. Now, my boss would say, well, did it improve pipeline? Did it improve demo form submissions? That's my other part of my job, where I'm a CRO. But what it did do is take that tofu content and it improved it. And a lot of the changes that we made were, we were looking at competitors' content. I wasn't, the robot was. But it was like, what's going to make this better? What are these informed sections of the page they're not answering? Yeah, a lot of it was that tofu-based content that wasn't going to convert.
How much LLM optimization did you also or not include in that page?
Yeah. So are you talking about like
adding things like proof points, like all the stuff they tell you got to now add in?
Yeah. Great question. So I wasn't as smooth with this slide to show you exactly what was in there. Anybody wants to connect with me, I know you, so I could tell you, but all it was I put that in the instructions. This actually lived in a Claude project, not a Claude skill. Little folder, you tell it instructions on what to do. I said, hey, listen, I want to make sure that this is good for AI search, and I also want to make sure that this is good for overall SEO. I didn't get crazy and add a bunch of documentation or anything like that, because I knew I was going to have a human and myself look at it. And that's the thing about expertise. I don't need to worry about building some perfect agent to do its job when I know I can probably do it better than it. But I just want to frost the cake. I don't want to bake the thing, you know? We just want to make it look pretty, right? And that's the cool thing about SEOs is we could speed up our work and make it look pretty and take all the credit for it. We're the people out there that are like, you know, let's talk about it for a minute. So we're like, oh man, listicles, they're ruining it. You got way up, now you're way down. It's like, yeah, because somebody was like, this is a great idea to make 600 of these in like 2 months. Yeah, that's bad. I made 4 and I'm killing it. But I'm killing it because I'm talking about me, my competitors, and I'm highlighting what they do that we don't do. But I'm of course putting myself first. But you know, you talk about your enemies, good too. Nothing wrong with that. Great question, and I'll share that prompt with you. Anybody else? So this is supposed to be tool 4, but I just didn't give you a number. And I got the most praise from my boss about this one. It's so weird. So persona-based marketing. I saw Rand Fishkin put something out the other day about this, right? I built this last year. I'm not famous. I might be now, you know? But it's true. So I read a book along with a bunch of LinkedIn posts. I don't know about you guys. I'm a sucker for a bunch of this content everybody puts out. So I wish they'd stop doing it as much. But I realized that people really care about them and not you. So you write for you a lot of the time in your business and how your business can solve your problems, when I don't care about that. What I care about is how you're going to solve my problems, because we're all selfish and greedy. And it's great because that's really what you should get when you're buying a service, no matter what it is. In my case, it's a piece of software. And I was like, Pendo really does help people. It helps people grow their product. It helps people stay on their software and not churn and use it better. No matter what anybody says, it does. And I read a book by Talila Wolf. I said, well, emotional targeting, I like that. Then I read a blog by this guy. And I was like, man, he's talking about this AI persona. What if I just dump that into ChatGPT, tell it that I work at Pendo? What's it going to give me? Gave me exactly what I wanted. So I turned around here and I was like, well, let me add a GPT, right? I took a picture today, but I built this year ago. And I just wanted to see what it would do. And it asks you a lot of questions. Once again, I think effort towards output's our biggest problem here, but it's saying, hey, persona or industry, you want to know a person that works somewhere or a fintech or whatever. If it's persona, give me the title, the industry, the company size, the geography, all these things I'm really pulling in. 6sense, Clearbit, anybody know any of these tools out there? Maybe even GA4. And then I turn around there and I'm like, okay, cool. What are they responsible for? Challenges, problems, tasks. If I don't know these, I just put NA or I just skip them. Everything with a comma, no big deal. And then I go into industry. Kind of redundant, but it helps. If you'll take time and answer all these things, you'll end up with something like this, where it's like, oh, it makes up people. It'll be like Tim John, he works at this company. It's kind of trippy, right? It's like a total fake person. And then it will give you some things that you can use if you want. I just said headlines. I didn't give it much of a context base. But this is a real test that I used. Now, okay, out of these two things, which one won? CRO test, headings on top of a page. Which one do you think actually tied to somebody's emotion more? And don't just say the shorter one because that's a lot of words on the bottom. But just read it. Emotions, feelings, what matters to you? Any guess? Give me one guess. Someone out there. Come on.
The long one.
Okay, cool. So the shorter one won, but it wasn't because it was shorter. Because if you really look at the words, it's somebody's emotion. I'm tired of wasting money on tools nobody uses, like 5 AI tools, or like 5 SEO tools, or our freaking television subscriptions. Let's not talk about that. But yeah, so that tool allowed me to spin this up. And I said, Tim, great, cool, yeah, it's created a persona, and you know, obviously this is for a person in the tech company or IT teams that want to use Pendo. I was able to give my writer 7 of these to choose from. I mean, it's like being at freaking a buffet. It's like Shoney's. Shoney's for marketing is what AI gives me.
Which one did your product marketing team really want? Is it the longer one?
So, yes, yeah, it is because, and that's a thing too. That's a whole, I can talk again at another time about that. So it's, being a digital marketer and being a product marketer should be most definitely the same things, but they have their things they're concerned with. It's almost like I should like cure to their emotions, right? But they don't pay the bills. These people do up top, right? And mad love to all the product marketers out there, but I feel like sometimes they're so silo focused on that. And my last slide is just going to resonate with everybody. I'm going to applause in my own head, but we're something more than what you think. We're not just an SEO. We're not just paid. We're not just a jacuzzi guy, My man, he does SEO for jacuzzis. We're a marketing engineer. Now, I didn't rip this from Mike King. Help me out. Relevance. There we go. Engineer. Man, no. Hear me out though. I was like, we're a marketing engineer. I'm engineering these tools for my other teammates to use, for other people in the company to use. I felt very empowered during my company thing. They were like, oh, Tim, you're the AI guy. I'm not the AI guy. I'm the tinker guy. I tinker. I have tinker time. I help people with the prompting. I love helping people. And I think as an SEO, we've always been helping people. We've been helping people rank better in search, or that small business owner get more money so he's not living in a box or whatever. But it's all been about always be learning. Now, I will give Bree Anderson, great GA4 Google Tag Manager person. She says this a lot, but I preach this like crazy to everybody. I crochet, I sew, I play guitar, I cook, I bake, a lot of chick stuff. But it's like hobby, and I'm always learning. That's really what it is. I heard something the other day. Oh, you're a jack of all trades and a master of none. But a master of none is better than a master of one. I just, at 42 years old, just heard the last part of that damn saying that would beat myself up about. Yeah. So, yeah, there we go, man. Any questions?
So have you tried, I like your personas. One of the things I've played a little bit with, but I want to do more. So we do a lot of vertical industry campaigns.
Awesome. Yeah.
But say healthcare, there's certain concerns. But what I've done is I said, okay, take this persona and then take this use case within the industry. And like, why is it important to them?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I'll get the use case from the product marketers, and it's like, it's good, but it's so dry.
So you're getting it from the product marketers, believe it or not. I do believe that AI, if you were, like I said, I'll share with everybody. It's not that complicated in terms of the persona prompt. It kind of, if you'll answer all those questions, it's going to tell you what they want based on things they've asked. Where they've asked this on Reddit a lot of times. If you look at the citations of that information. But yeah, so I mean,
it's also a good way to validate if product marketers are on target.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just listening to one or two really loud customers that like, I don't like this feature.
Yeah.
And then that's what they're trying to push is like, okay, this is what we need to fix.
Yeah, because they're siloed, right? Something I didn't mention here is we have it. Using Zapier. We have an NPS. NPS, everybody know what that is, right? It's a score system. People will complain about certain things that might frustrate them. I will say it a lot of times because they don't read documentation or spend the time or a little bit of effort. And that's what you'll end up. You'll end up with a product marketer that hears about somebody always talking about, oh, it's so difficult to tag in Pendo. And it's like, okay. So all they want to do is have all the messaging be about that. This is just an example by the means. And if you just pay a little bit of attention, it's actually not hard at all. But when you're dealing with a persona and we're marketing to people, we're helping people, I think that, being kind of thinking outside of the box, right? That's what this whole thing was about. That's awesome that you're doing it too. Anybody? Yeah.
You mentioned Looker Studio earlier as one of those tools where you send out the link, you say bookmark it, you find that your team doesn't use it for whatever reason. Did you get any feedback throughout this, like creation of these processes that said, within a certain interface is best or as a prompt is best, or like what feedback did you get to kind of make it where your team would actually follow through and use the tools that you were building?
Yeah, this is like a personal thing with me. I love Looker Studio, by the way. I think it's the most underrated thing in an org where I can feed in some information, make a cool, sweet graph. And I have done that for specific product pages. At Pendo, we have multiple layers to our product. So it's like, if product manager especially, I love giving them those reports where it's like, here's a pretty dashboard that's only about your one product. I don't mind just doing what somebody tells me. I'm very like, I'll just go with the flow. A lot of people aren't. So I feel what it is if you give them a place where they can go with they can make their own journey up, that's what it is. Nobody's ever had a problem with the dashboards as much as they're like, well, I just want to put it in myself. So, and I think, once again, my environment and other environments is FOMO. I want to use AI as much as possible. We're pushed to use AI. We most definitely put AI first. We're not an AI native company, but we're AI enabled. So everybody wants to make sure that they're getting their hands on it. When I put 5 people on a lovable project to build a little demo site just for an exercise, I mean, you're talking about kids in a candy store. They were just excited to kind of be involved with something where maybe on their Friday or Saturday, they didn't want to spend the $20 to do it. Yep.
Do you think the nature of Pendo, which is a retention optimization tool, drives your colleagues and coworkers to think more about retention? Or is it still a challenge for you to get them to give a shit about people using the thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, just to like kind of reframe that. So you're saying like, do the marketers, the fellow people I work with, are they also concerned with like retaining our customers and the product? Yeah. Maybe not as much. This is a personal thing. A lot of personal stuff. Maybe not as much as I would say getting it in front of the masses, right? Yeah. They care about it for sure. They want to make sure but we have other people that are outside of marketing that take care of those existing customers. For me, in looking at those how and what's in Google Search Console, I see those questions from living in Reddit, not ruining Reddit, just living in it. I see those frustrations, but like my team is like, how can I put on the best marketing event possible? Hook them up with cool shoes. How can I make sure that when we do Pandemonium next month, we can make sure they have the best time and learn about all of our new features. That's their job. So sometimes I feel like my responsibility is making sure our product pages don't just talk about the product as much as like they make sure there's churn reduction content on there. If somebody's frustrated with using something, making sure that there's clear, it's not just a help document, it's more or less like an instructional as well as a billboard. Come on, give me two more. Come on, what you got? Nothing?
How do you put that churn reduction content? Do you do it like in FAQs?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel so. What's weird is we moved over to Builder.io. Pretty sweet. It's a very like you got to build every piece of it, but just imagine never having a plugin update. WordPress people, and there is kind of like lovable vibes in it where you can vibe code some stuff. a paid person can just go build their own landing page. It's pretty cool. But there's heat mapping in there. And, you know, I can't just use Microsoft Clarity due to various reasons. We do have session replay. Pendo on Pendo is real. But when you look at the heat map and you see, man, people actually click on FAQs. I was like, oh, this is there. It's just SEO. So I wrap some schema on it, entity building, whatever. Don't hate me. That's cool. No, like people do click on it and they come there for that reason. And when you can show up for that and be cited in an AIO, I'm surprised. Like, I think that we're getting away from actually watching the behavior of searchers. You know, it's, you know, my mom won't use AI. She doesn't, not for any reason particularly, but she's very hell bent on like searching for the thing and like clicking the thing. And I'm like, you just talking on your phone. And she's like, oh, it's weird. You know, like I'm just going to go to the site. And it's the whole Looker dashboard, right? Somebody could go to the dashboard I built and click around and filter their own stuff. I don't feel like that. I just want to type it into a box and make it happen. It's their behavior analysis, I think. And Patrick, you could probably speak on that a little bit because I feel with the research of like Ahrefs and stuff like that, you guys are constantly looking at those things. And, you know, some of the reports that I've seen and stuff where it might not be as bad as one might think because numbers are off. No.
Numbers are trash right now.
Yeah, so they're trash.
They're gonna get worse.
So behavior analysis is key, right? Kind of, yeah.
It's taking over everything.
Yeah.
It takes over, like there's no more clicks and
Yeah.
attribution is hard. A lot of the systems aren't even like tagged properly to show up right in your analytics. I did a big study last year. OpenAI is the only one that fixed their shit. Good for them.
Yeah.
Everyone else, a lot of the traffic doesn't show.
And that's, oh, go ahead. I was just going to say attribution. That's a very great point too. We as a team, there's one goal, right? Fill up the piggy bank, fill up the demo requests, make the sellers busy, not marketing. Everybody's fight, well, paid did this, paid did that. I don't care what we did. My team is very much like, did we hit the bullseye? Yeah. I don't like, that's cool. Like nobody's getting a special cookie because paid did better than organic or whatever. Now, you know, the slicing of the pie is important and that is getting lost with everything. But I think companies, if they can move towards the, once again, up and to the right's good. I think that caveman analogy is good, right? Like we're either going up or we're going down. I don't really care about traffic. Yeah. And you do want somebody working on it though. You want somebody analyzing those queries, analyzing what they can analyze, whether the numbers are real or fake. Like, you know, we have Profound. Somebody's like, prompt tracking tools don't matter. That's fine. But you know what? Somebody that has a very, very important part of the company do care and they do want that chart, whether it is very accurate or it's not accurate. So me kicking the tires and dragging my feet, being like, we don't need that, or being like, screw it, I'll just hop in this tool. I'm going to put in the information and we'll see what it says. At the worst case, where do I end up? Back to that first slide where I'm on Reddit being like, is that real? You know, is that like, you know, not like the, you know, but like, do I show up there? Is that a thing? Like, can I replicate this? You know, what were you gonna say?
I have two things. One is, I haven't looked recently. Has Looker not added Gemini? Has Google not added Gemini to Looker?
Yeah. So this is without answering truthfully.
Yeah.
Everything that Gemini is on that's a Google product, it is just a chat bot.
Yeah.
Hey, how can I add a line graph? Hey, how can I change this to blue?
Yeah.
Very helpful. Can you make a 6 sliced up dashboard using my GA4 data that's showing me only Japan traffic that went directly to this product page? That's context. I think the context context windows in these Gemini based products within, like, so my team all the time, how I built this deck. Tim, I'm in slides. You said that I could build slides in Gemini. I hit the little star. I asked it to build me a 5-slide deck on a session replay. Nothing happened. Yeah, because it doesn't happen in there. It happens within Gemini. Hit the 9. This is my thing. Hit the 9, hit the star, hit the plus, canvas, and then put your prompt. And then they're like, but it doesn't look how I want it to look. I was like, add a document. Why put the URL in there? No, you have to add it from Drive. You have to do the connection. It's like we have to do the tango with all these tools. Everybody wants to just throw if you don't upload a file, would you upload a file? But if you are using a connection to a connection and then you ask it to use that connection, it's probably going to obey. 50-50, but it's Claude, everything. Like if you can talk to your org and be like, hey, I need to make sure Google Drive is connected to our AI system. And like that's the path of less resistance.
So can Gemini, when you launch a Looker dashboard, can you just use Gemini to talk to the data that's in the dashboard or not?
I do believe that. Like, so as of today or the other day or whatever, you can go into Google Search Console right now, and that little Gemini
Yeah, I was
feature,
gonna say,
yeah,
That might reduce that friction, so you can actually have real data, not.
But it's the context window that he's talking about,
Yeah,
and like the simpler the question.
Sure.
Like the fewer words.
Yeah.
While having enough to
Yeah.
do the thing.
But I would assume a looker dashboard with the Gemini widget on, you're just talking to that. The context's not a problem. It's like, tell me.
Maybe.
I
I
don't,
don't know.
yeah, I don't,
Maybe.
I don't know. So like each one of your widgets,
Yeah, exactly.
each one of your widgets is different. So if it can't control that date widget up top,
That's my question.
Yeah.
I haven't played with it.
yeah, I would lean on no, eventually for sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's pretty cool what you can do, what you can do with the, without screaming into the void though, right? Like you can go into Google Search Console today and you could use a little thing and say, hey, listen, give me, month over month averages for how to queries. Cool. It's going to give you something that only matters to you, right? You're gonna be like, cool, I can come over here and talk to the homies about it. But outside of here, everybody's going to be like, good job, clicks, impressions. Where are we going to dinner, But yeah, a good question.
Maybe one more question if anyone has one, otherwise we're gonna.
Oh, there she is. Oh, come on. What you got?
Last question.
So you mentioned keyword peppering, and then you also mentioned focusing on the big picture.
Yeah, don't pepper keywords, by the way. No.
So are you saying, as SEOs, we need to focus less on targeting keywords and focus more on emotional targeting to increase sales awareness?
Great. Yeah, yeah.
Of course, using AI.
Yeah. So, making sure your page is covering a topic, right? This is where you think of query fan out, where you put in one thing and Gemini might think of 19 or 20 to solve that query. To take that mindset almost and be like, is this content written and structured in a way that could answer more than just this main keyword? Could it answer maybe 20 variations of what I'm trying to accomplish here? That would be my, so, and the emotional targeting is almost OG marketing. I had a CMO and he had us read a bunch of like David Ogilvy, marketing warfare, all these things I didn't know about. I never got an MBA. And I was like, I'm toilet paper ads from 1960, slamming it with these headlines, And I take that's kind of that emotional marketing, right? Things that made people stop, that Mad Men era. It could be a Mad Woman era now, right? And sit there and make people pause and think. Like that headline that I showed you, right? It was kind of like, I'm tired of wasting money. It's exactly why I'm here. I'm on the IT team and I want to use your tool. Your tool can help me like not have my team just dilly-dallying around using 7 things with logins that I like not using them. I'd like that. Good question.
Thank you, Tim. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate it. That was good, man. Thank you.